Welcome to the Real Board Loft. I'm Trip Forman. Today we have real team rider with us, Masen Barley. Masen, hello.
Hello.
Welcome back. We're going to be reviewing a new board, which is not new to most people, but I think it's going to be new to a lot of people because this is a project that we did with Masen and through Pyzel, creating a Grom version of the Pyzel Red Tiger. Masen, let's start out first with your height and weight, and then we're going to go into board dimensions and volume.
I'm around 4'11", and I weigh 81 pounds.
All right, and what are the dimensions and volume on this board?
It's 4'9" by 17.25 by 1.94 by 17.5 liters.
All right, and let's go flashback a little bit to like when we came up with the idea for this, right? Like I remember your dad was getting a Red Tiger, and they had just released the Red Tiger, but we looked at the dimensions. And they didn't have
Groms.
They didn't have Groms, so I mean, what's up with that? With all the Groms that are out there, right? You would think that they would want to ride what John rides.
Yeah.
So we went to Pyzel, came up with some Grom dimensions, and got this board ordered. And when did you get this board?
Like last summer sometime.
Last summer?
And I rode it in a lot of contests, and it worked great.
Yeah?
It's really good for big carves. It holds me back a little on the snaps, though.
Okay. Compared to something with a little bit more rocker?
Yeah.
But what about like, because I remember, because I mean, you've got a pretty built out quiver. You have this, and then you have like a better like high performance short board, and then you have like a step up for when it's like really going.
Yeah.
What is the target that you were trying to hit with this board as far as like wave size and like wave shape and like what you were going to be using it for?
Then I didn't have a higher performance short board. This was going to be like my everyday board, more like steeper or a little mushier. But then I found out this doesn't go great even if it's just this big, but it has a little bowl to it. It doesn't go great, but it's really good on like a mushier wave, a smaller wave that doesn't have much of a bowl. You can get a lot of speed.
Right.
And like I said, it's really good on rail.
So it seems like it's better, listening to what you're saying, it's better in the mush. Not so much like when it's really so when it's got like a lot of shape to it. Which
not even a lot of shape.
We get shape when it's like that big, right? Like
yeah, I mean, I surfed it. It was this big, but it had like enough bowl that like it just didn't go well, and I couldn't really do a cutback. Right. So I just switched to my other board. But it's definitely good. It's like a good beginner short board.
Okay. And what about for your contest surfing?
My contest, it was a good contest board because down here, the ESAs were all run in Nag's Head, and they were a lot of bad days that it was run.
Yeah, not a lot.
And it rode good in the worst waves.
Super small.
Like not even just super small. It was like this big, but it was like blowing hard and really mushy. But it rode good. Okay. And I got some good waves on it.
Nice.
I rode it a lot this summer at the Avon Pier, which was like the only good spot pretty much this summer. And it rode really good because it was like some waves were a little steeper, it didn't go well in those, but then there were a lot of like good cutback sections that it went really well in. Okay,
cool. And so what would you say like of those waves, like kind of what was the smallest that it's working in and what's the biggest?
I mean, I've ridden waves that like this big and it still works. You can still get a cutback in it. But I'd say maybe it depends on how mushy it is. If it's
Let's just say it's mushy.
If it's mushy, it could be like this big and it could still be handleable.
Okay, so head high for you.
Yeah, head high for me. It can still handle the waves if it's mushy. But if it's like even just a little bowl to it, then it doesn't work.
You want to have something that's got a little bit more rocker to it.
Something that's just like a little, not as wide.
Okay.
But it goes like a charm in small waves.
In small waves. Masen, let's talk about fins. What fins do you have in the board?
I have the Futures pivots in right now. Though when I first got it, I rode John's. Before I got pivots, I had neutrals and I tried those out. They didn't go as well, but it got a little steeper one day and it worked a lot better. Right. Even though this board, like with the pivots and the John's, it like doesn't like bigger waves, like not just bigger but steeper. Okay. But with the neutrals, it could handle it a little more.
Okay. And what, and are those smalls or extra smalls?
These are extra smalls. All my fins are extra smalls. Except I have one pair of small John Johns.
Okay. And why do you like the, here, let's hold it this way so the viewers can see like the angle on these things. So the pivots are a little bit more upright, yeah? Why do you like why do you like the pivots over the neutrals or the
It felt like they were looser in this board when it was smaller. So like they didn't hold me back as much. I could do smaller snaps on these. They also worked really good in small waves. But then the John Johns I rode and they worked good. Like they were good like medium-sized waves. But the neutrals were definitely like what helped it actually be able to handle bigger waves.
Bigger waves?
Like this big, but with a bit of steepness and not
with a little bit more rake in the fin, that felt better. Okay, awesome. And then what about, let's talk about accessibility and like who this board would be good for. Like, do you think like someone your age or younger coming off of, or older, coming off of a soft top? Let's say they're coming off of like a catch surf, like Skipper or a board like that. Like, could this be their first hardboard?
Yeah, I think it could. It's very forgivable. You don't have to surf the wave perfectly to make this board work.
Okay.
I think a beginner like going off a soft top could ride this for like their first hardboard.
Okay, cool. And then you know, at your level, it's working like all the way up through the contest level, like something that's going to excel like in small
like
waves.
If it's a little mushier, like I rode it in Easterns, and it was mushier, and it worked really good. Yeah, I think it's a really good small wave board, and even like a mushier short board for like intermediates. Like it's just a good all-around board.
Awesome. Well, Masen, thank you so much for joining us with the Pyzel Red Tiger, yours being board number 1 of the Grom series. If any of you out there have any questions about the Pyzel Red Tiger Grom or the grown-up version, just a straight-up Pyzel Red Tiger, either ordering a stock board or putting in a custom order, you can always reach us at the shop, 252-987-6000, or look us up online, realwatersports.com/surfing. Thanks for tuning in.